A Necessary End by Peter Robinson. Read by Simon Slater. Chapter 1, Part 1. The demonstrators huddled in the March drizzle outside Eastvale Community Centre. Some of them held homemade placards aloft, but the anti-nuclear slogans had run in the rain like the red lettering at the beginning of horror movies. It was hard to make out exactly what they said anymore. By 8:30, everyone was thoroughly soaked and fed up. No television cameras recorded the scene, and not one reporter mingled with the crowd. Protests were passé, and the media were only interested in what was going on inside. Besides, it was cold, wet and dark out there. Despite all the frustration, the demonstrators had been patient so far. Their wet hair lay plastered to their skulls and water dribbled down their necks. But still they had held up their illegible placards and shifted from foot to foot for over an hour. Now, however, many of them were beginning to feel claustrophobic. North Market Street was narrow and only dimly lit by old-fashioned gas lamps. The protesters were hemmed in on all sides by police, who had edged so close that there was nowhere left to spread out. An extra line of police stood guard at the top of the steps by the heavy oak doors, and opposite the hall more officers blocked the snickets that led to the winding back streets and the open fields beyond Cardigan Drive. Finally, just to get breathing space, some people at the edges began pushing. The police shoved back hard. The agitation rippled its way to the solidly packed heart of the crowd, and suppressed tempers rose. When someone brought a placard down on a copper's head, the other demonstrators cheered. Someone else threw a bottle. It smashed harmlessly, high against the wall. Then a few people began to wave their fists in the air, and the crowd started chanting, "We want in! Let us in!" Isolated scuffles broke out. They were still struggling for more ground, and the police pushed back to contain them. It was like sitting on the lid of a boiling pot. Something had to give. Later, nobody could say exactly how it happened or who started it, but most of the protesters' questioned claimed that a policeman yelled, "Let's clobber the buggers," and that the line advanced down the steps, truncheons out. Then all hell broke loose. Part 2. It was too hot inside the community centre. Detective Chief Inspector Alan Banks fidgeted with his tie. He hated ties, and when he had to wear one, he usually kept the top button of his shirt undone to alleviate the choking feeling. But this time he toyed with the loose knot out of boredom as well as discomfort. He wished he was at home with his arm around Sandra and a tumbler of good single malt scotch in his hand. But home had been a cold and lonely place these past 2 days because Sandra and the children were away. Her father had suffered a mild stroke, and she had gone down to Croydon to help her mother cope. Banks wished she were back. They had married young, and he found that the single life, after almost 20 years of mostly happy marriage, had little to recommend it. But the main cause of Banks's ill humour droned on, bringing to the crowded Eastvale Community Centre a particularly nasal brand of home counties monetarism. It was the Honourable Honoria Winstanley, MP, come to pour oil on the troubled waters of north-south relations. Eastvale had been blessed with her presence because, though not large, it was the biggest and most important town in that part of the country, between York and Darlington. It was also enjoying a period of unprecedented and inexplicable growth, thus marking itself out as a shining example of popular capitalism at work. Banks was present as a gesture of courtesy, sandwiched between two taciturn special branch men. Superintendent Gristhorpe had no doubt assigned him, Banks thought, because he had no desire to listen to the Honourable Honoria himself. If pushed, Banks described himself as a moderate socialist, but politics bored him, and politicians usually made him angry. Occasionally, he glanced left or right and noticed the restless eyes of the official bodyguards, who seemed to be expecting terrorists.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?